What's up, guys? Deroir here, and with me today in the comfortable chair is my good friend and fellow gamer, Mr. Particlar. Welcome to the show, man.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good as well. I'm pretty
So
hyped about this.
you have a thing with raccoons. What is that? Explain.
Oh,
What
oh,
is up with the fucking raccoons,
oh.
man?
We're starting there. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think this is just like I'm gonna reference this to being Swedish and liking meatballs. It's just like a thing that others kind of have been projecting on me. So sure, I started with like a mini pet of a raccoon, and then everyone was like, "Oh yeah, he's always using raccoons," and then I had to prove them right. So kind of have just like grown from there.
So it just evolved from the
Yeah.
expectation that you were always using raccoons. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, so now you are the raccoon boy. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
People love
I've come to
raccoons.
accept it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. People love them in the stream everywhere.
I
So
don't know if it's a genius like marketing thing as well, like having something unique for your stream as well.
you are you are unique, man. We
Thank
all
you.
love you for the raccoons. So
Yeah.
a lot of players or a lot of people in the community consider you a top tier player or a good player of Guild Wars. Like, the game has evolved over a long time, and you've been playing this for forever, like a lot of people. But you've just honed your skills, I'm guessing.
I mean, I think it's a part of like what type of gamer you are. For one, for example, as well, like the reason like I've only really played Ellie. I've never really gone away from it. I've tried out different professions and I've really tried to get into them. But every time I do, I kind of feel like I miss the Ellie, and I think that just because I've just had so much raw time into it, I've become a good Ellie. But also about the type of gamer. Like some people want to play a game for, say, the story, for example, or for the cinematics or the I don't know the art in the game. But like me personally, I like the gameplay. Like I want to try to push the boundaries, and I want to see like exactly what you can do. So that's what interests me in games, and I think just because of that natural interest, I've I've become better and better.
Is that a general thing for all games, or is it mostly Guild Wars that you were focusing on?
No, actually, yeah, that's a general thing for most games. I don't really get interested in other games if they don't have a gameplay if they don't have gameplay that I enjoy. If I don't get hooked on the gameplay, I I won't be able to continue with the game, even if the story is really good, for example.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, Heart of Thorns was supposed to bring more challenge, and I know that you love challenge.
Uh-huh.
Has that done anything for the game, do you think?
I mean, oh, you can look for the challenge and you can get it there, but all in all, I think Heart of Thorns wasn't really at its release changing much, really. I think a bigger part of Heart of Thorns releasing made it easier in a way because for most specializations, the elite specializations make the character a lot stronger. I think it's just like one or two that is a small difference or no difference. So in terms of difficulty, in some areas it's even easier because you have this power creep. Say dungeons, for example, with the
Yeah,
defiance
true.
bar and all that, like they just they just
They became a
blow away.
laughing stock. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a horrible state to have it in. Yeah.
but then like the raids came out, and the raids, I feel if you can kind of cater them into the Heart of Thorns release, which I think you should, then yeah, sure, the Heart of Thorns changed the difficulty in that regard.
So how do you view the raids? Like you do it on a weekly basis, but do you still push new limits, or has it become trivial?
Yeah, okay. I mean, it depends. I really, if I get interested in something, like no matter if it's in the game or whatever, I tend to like dive deep into that, and then once I'm done with that, I kind of leave it. So say if I would get interested, I'm interested in low manning dungeons, for example, and if I start to look at one encounter, I will really try to make that work, and I will try to push for it and stuff like that. But at the moment, I just simply don't have the time with like uni stuff and all that. So at the moment, I'm more doing it at a regular kind of casual basis.
Yeah, that makes sense. So going forth, like we know that difficulty is always going to be subjective. It's always going to be
Uh-huh.
like some people find something easier and some people find something or that same thing much harder than everyone. But like going forth, where do you want this game to go? Like seeing yourself as an, let's just say an elite player or a top tier player, what do you expect from ArenaNet? Do you actually think that they can push it, and where do you want it to be
Oh yeah.
pushed?
I mean, I feel that if I'm being selfish, obviously I want something really difficult, but I think that's something that is important to keep in mind is
What
that
is
when
difficult to you? Just out of
um
curiosity. Like, is it the mechanics? Is it long fights? What makes a fight better than others or more challenging than others?
where a lot of responsibility is put on me. Like if I don't do my job, the group fails. Which I can kind of understand looking from the other person's perspective, like the other group. It's kind of annoying because they can be playing perfectly, but Mr. Particular just screwed up and like made everyone annoyed. Um, but yeah, I was gonna say like something I think that is important to keep in mind when we're talking about difficulty is that post-mortem, like after you have completed an encounter or like say the raid now, for example, it looks a lot easier than it actually was at that first time.
Obviously, yeah.
Right? So now when we've beaten it, now when we got in this rush of like, yes, we made it, the next time we do it, it's a lot smaller and perhaps it will even diminish to be completely gone. And we will view this encounter that previously was looked upon as being very difficult to be very easy. Um, but yeah, if I'm being selfish, like I want difficult encounters, right? More difficult than I've seen so far. Um, and in terms of how, I feel that I really enjoy like getting a lot of new mechanics. I don't know, like I like splitting up groups, for example. Like say just for example, where I said that a lot of the responsibility is put on me, like say
Yeah.
sabotage cannons. That's cool, but like splitting up in like three evenly split up groups, for example, that would be really cool. Something like that.
Definitely. Do you think ArenaNet will actually do this or can actually do this? Like, there's always going to be gameplay limitations, like whatever. But do you think they can? Do you think they will?
I think that Aina have found their difficulty they're comfortable with at the moment. Like we saw in like Wing 1 and then Wing 2, it didn't really change much. Some people can argue that it got easier or more difficult, but I
Mm.
feel like say the last encounter Matthias there is is pretty difficult, I'd say, and Slatasaur is like kind of like Veil Guardian, so I feel it's almost on the same difficulty there. So I don't
Yeah,
expect them to make it like make the next wing or like future raids a lot more difficult. I don't really expect that, but I would love if they did. Just because I love having something that I haven't completed yet. I love like striving for something. Um, but I'll probably be content even if they release like a wing with the same difficulty, and I'll just find my own challenge with like low manning stuff or whatever.
like we've seen before. Yeah. So, do you think the next wing, the last wing of this raid, is? Are we going to see another 2 day raid clear, or a day and
Oh.
a half?
Oh, I hope not. Like I kind of wanted the I don't know. It was weird seeing how quickly Wing 2 was completed. I want to have that like where I'm fighting for completing it like for days upon end. The first Wing took me like a week to complete and like that struggle, even though people can find it annoying, I love it. I
It
do.
was amazing. Yeah.
I love the theory crafting as well. So if like a fight isn't straightforward, and if a fight is really say for Ghost of War, for example, for us how we did it, we really had to find the perfect tactic before we could make it work because we simply weren't doing enough damage or we weren't doing it on time. So like I found it to be a lot like really interesting in finding that tactic, like theory crafting about the encounter. I hope that Wing 3 has that as well.
Definitely, definitely. But that's all. Most of what you're saying is bound to the mechanical aspect. Like it's always going to be like how many mechanics can they throw into a fight
Mm.
for people to try and overcome somehow.
Yeah.
But
I yeah.
there must be like a limit, or like there seems to be a limit for what ArenaNet actually wants to put into the game. And it's sort of, I don't know, it scares me to think that they might have found their baseline. How do you
Yeah,
feel about
me
that?
too. I mean, I'm not for like throwing in quantitative mechanics. Like I don't get happier having six mechanics instead of five, you know. But like I want to have qualitative. I want to have like something new. Um, like having an encounter that where you have to play completely different from you did before. That would be really interesting. And now, like this is quite difficult to kind of come up with an encounter that would force you to do that and still cater to everything that they want to cater to.
Definitely.
Um,
There's always going to be the dilemma of having everyone being able to, or at least a larger part of the community being able to actually complete it. Like there's always going to be this, what's it called, like top difficulty that they will ever be able to go to if they want to incorporate story and all these kinds of stuff. Should they perhaps just split story and raids or challenge in itself?
I mean, talking for myself, why not? Like,
Just from you, yeah.
um, in the first place, I wouldn't care much if they split took away the story from it, or I mean maybe in some regards, but not much. But like I'm not that big on story or lore at all. Like I'm guilty of that. I don't know the lore before I've seen your video about it. Um, so like I can't really understand the frustration a lot of people feel about like that they can't complete an encounter and therefore they can't see the lore. I just don't value it as much as these people seem to do.
That makes sense.
Um, so yeah, like I wouldn't be against taking away the lore. It would lose some of the interesting part of the raid, and I think that a lot of other people apart from me would be upset about that.
I think a lot of people would think that it would just be a flavorless encounter, but if all you're going in for is the challenge, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I can't say that it's completely without value. Like I wouldn't be happy to say if like Gorzival was a brown box, for example. I mean, him being pretty and all like that's pretty cool. Um,
definitely. So most of the challenge that we see in this game is very limited. What do you spend most of your time on though?
like how do you mean limited challenges? Like, do
There
you mean
are not that many.
yeah,
We don't have a lot of raid wings. We literally only have two right now, with a third coming up, and to a certain degree, some people would call that limited.
yeah, I agree. What I kind of do instead is just like I try to um I suppose research is the term. I don't know. Like one, look at my own gameplay. How can I improve it? How can I like change it? Not only like me personally, but also like how can I improve my build? Would this build work and stuff like that? I really enjoy that theory crafting. Um
When you
and
say
like
theory crafting, can you explain what you mean by that?
looking for new ways of doing things, I suppose, is the kind of thing that I think of, and like exploring if there's a better way, say to do an encounter, for example, or like if there's a better build or like a higher DPS rotation or whatever really question you want to answer. So like recently I've been looking into the Ellie Scepter Warhorn build, for example, with Fresh Air. I've really tried to make it work. It's really like clumsy and annoying, but like I just love a change, and like if it could work, it would be really interesting in a lot of encounters, I feel.
Definitely.
Um, so I spend a lot of time doing that, but also I enjoy the theory crafting at a larger scale as well. Say for raids, for example, I find it interesting to find out like what compositions, for example, are the best, or like how do you split up groups, or how do you what comps or what professions do you bring into the comp to make the most efficient composition?
The most out of the encounter. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And like I just gotta say, like I believe a lot of people will just like straight think to the 7-2-1 composition, right? When I'm talking about this, and like everyone thinks I'm the um
The Grand Guru.
I, I wouldn't say that, but like people just thinks I am like very limited or like narrow thinking that this comp is the only best one, and I found it, and uh, everything else is bad, but really not. Like I think that like say the best comp for a certain encounter might be a specific comp, for example, right?
Mm.
But that doesn't mean that the same comp is the best one for another encounter. Um,
Makes
say like
perfect sense. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's kind of what you want to go for. Do you want to go for like the optimal damage, or do you want to go for having a bit of
Like a blanket
safety
solution.
guards? Yeah,
Yeah.
a safety guard. You want to have some more Sisu so you can slack on that. Do you want to rely on one person, or can you like build a comp where two people share a job, and like if one person fails it, it's not that bad, for example.
It's all
Um,
very situational.
yeah, yeah, a lot of variables there.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man, for coming and sharing your thoughts about everything and
Oh yeah,
talking
nope.
some rabble with me.
It
So
was
where
fun.
can people find you on the internet?
Oh yeah. Okay. So Particlar is like the alias I go by. So I had twitch.tv/Particlar. Think particular and then you take away the U. I think is the easiest way to figure out how it's spelled. But also YouTube, you can search for that. I just like Particlar Guild Wars 2 or something. And
All the links right there. Go follow now.
yeah, I'm not that like consistent on releasing videos, but I do it when I have time or I have something interesting to do.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, man, for coming. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you guys for watching. And till next time, we'll see you around.
See
Bye
you in the mist.
bye.